Here we go. Spartacus rises. I've not done as much preparation in the historical sense as for other campaigns. So this will be a bit more of a playthrough with... I'll still put some historical stuff into it, but more like the basics. The other thing is that there isn't that much information on Spartacus. Everything comes through Roman sources, and of course that's going to be pretty twisted and biased. What we do know is that he was a Thracian warrior, probably in Roman forces. Could have been an auxiliary, and for reasons unknown he was sold into slavery, and in around, let me just have a look, what is it, 73 BC, that's it, 73 BC, he escaped with a group of about 70 slaves and took over. Well, first they used kitchen implements to escape, so kitchen knives and whatnot, and then they captured some carts containing gladiatorial weaponry, took that weaponry, escaped up to Mount Vesuvius, and made their camp up there. They had firstly some Roman militia sent after them. There weren't really any legionaries in Rome around Italy at the time. There was one big war going on and another uprising in the west. Now that uprising, oh, you can't see it here, but that uprising is actually shown as part of the game. That uprising was caused, it was part of the Marius-Sulla conflict. I'll start taking some turns while I talk, just to make it a little more interesting. So there was a rebellion in the west, in Spain, and there was also a war in the east against Pontus, the kingdom of Pontus. So all the legionaries are away. So it was firstly militia that were sent against the gladiators, the slaves. They beat them easily. And then when a more serious force was sent against them to Vesuvius again, the slaves beat those also by building ropes out of vines, climbing down a cliff behind the Romans and attacking them in the rear of their camp, which I thought was very interesting. So no matter what the historians say about Spartacus, they do say he was a brilliant tactician. I'm going to sack this settlement. I had a couple of turns on another campaign, another Spartacus Rises campaign earlier. I wanted to test out just to see how hard it was, and I found out it's very tough. It's very, very, very tough indeed. It's going to be a challenge to get anywhere playing as Spartacus in this campaign. The biggest problem, as you'll see here, is cash. Cash and food. They're the biggest problem. So this unit here, for example, costs 215 per turn. A normal Roman unit in a normal Roman campaign will cost about 90. So you're talking 2 or 3 times the amount just for a normal unit that aren't even particularly brilliant. So I'm going to disband these servile units here. You might wonder what I'm doing, but we have quite a lot of them. I'm going to keep my armies together, and I'm going to rely more on decent mercenary troops if I can. So for example, we have these horsemen here, servile horsemen. They're costing 300 per turn. We can save money simply by disbanding them and using mercenaries instead, just like I'm doing here. Also, not yet, but other Italian spearmen come up, and they're slightly cheaper as well. The hoplites I'm going to take simply because they're going to be far more useful hoplites, sorry, I always pronounce that wrong. Hoplites are always good troops. Always, always. I'm going to end the turn there. In terms of the historical context, the year 73 to 71 BC, this was just after two major events that sort of happened in Roman history. The first were the social wars, which had happened, I think, about 20 years earlier. The social wars were Rome, the Roman elite, versus the rest of Italy, the Italian allies. And the Italian allies had been loyal for hundreds of years and came to see themselves as Romans. They were aspiring to leadership and wanted a say in government, which is fair enough. Rome controlled their lives. And there was a senator, I think it was a senator, who proposed reforms to give these Italian allies citizenship. Their response was to basically tell him to F off before assassinating him. And that was the end of the reforms. So the Italians obviously were not particularly happy about this and rebelled in response. Now the Romans put this down by force, and more importantly though, they conceded a great deal. They actually gave in to what I'm going to loot and take this settlement. And the reason for this is that these settlements, so the walled settlements, I'm going to avoid entirely, whereas the smaller settlements I'm going to take and just ignore. I'm not going to build them up or anything, I'm just going to take them for food. Food and income. These are the two things I need more than anything else. There we go, these are the Italian spearmen. 120 per turn, which is doable. Anything above 200 I'm going to need to be careful of. Just get on with my little rambling thing, take a turn. Now what I'm doing is I'm making my way down to the southwest. Again, I played this through before. Once I took Rome, successfully took Rome and got battered. The other time I tried to take all of Sicily, succeeded, took it all, moved on to Carthage and then got battered. And this this time I'm going to try a slightly different tactic. I'm going to go down and aim for Carthage and kind of set up a servile Carthaginian republic. Lofty goals, freedom and what not. In terms of freedom, there is no actual evidence that the slaves had any intention of ending slavery, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. So despite the fact that they were, you know, on the surface of things fighting for freedom, they weren't trying to free any of their brothers in the process. Their numbers rose quickly, however, and within just a few weeks or months their numbers had swelled from just the 70 who escaped to a whopping 120,000, I think, at one point, which is incredible if you think about it. I think I've got those numbers right. So this was a major uprising. The other set of events... Come on, why can't I click? Oh, that's not working. The other set of events that it followed were the kind of the death throes of the Republic. So basically you'd had Marius and Sulla, so two very strong military leaders with very loyal armies behind them, slugging it out for control of Rome. And firstly Marius was in control, and then he was sent abroad, and Sulla took control of the city. I think that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Sulla, having taken control, forced Marius into exile. Marius only escaped death very narrowly a few times. Interestingly, Julius Caesar, who was Marius's nephew, was alive at this time and escaped when Sulla took the city. Caesar then went into the army, as you would expect. It was the only career available to anyone at the time, apart from, unless you were a noble, an aristocrat. And that was part of Julius Caesar's sort of formative years, formative events, with Sulla taking Rome. Very important in his thinking. And what happened later was that Sulla, after consolidating control of Rome and massacring many of his opponents, Sulla then went on expedition in the east. He went to fight over there and conquer more territories. I am going to loot and take this settlement, which didn't actually increase my food.
Ready for battle.
It's always a gamble as to whether these places will actually have food. So I'm going to repair. No, I don't need to do that. I'm not going to worry about food. I have enough. You can't store food, so there's no point thinking about that. So I'm going to continue my destructive march down south. So once Sulla had left for the east, Marius returned from exile, raised an army, took control of Rome again, and then, unfortunately, died 2 weeks later. And Cinna, Cinna, who was his ally and helped him take Rome, he was then in control of Rome, while Sulla was away in the east. And it was only when Cinna died, he was actually killed, murdered by his own troops as he was marching against Sulla himself, and his troops mutinied, murdered him, and went and joined Sulla's cause. So Sulla seemed to be the more popular figure, and all of this, apart from just power, it was very much about power, but apart from just power, this was about the aristocracy versus the people. And it was part of Rome's transition from a republic, an aristocratic republic. I'm going to loot this one as well.
At your command.
Just saving up all the cash I can. I'll get rid of these cavalry because they're damaged. And there's no point waiting for troops to repair themselves. It's easier simply to hire more. Let's see, can I move him forward? No, I can't move. Okay. So I'm going to take some... The brutes... Oh, I can't raise them. Brutes are good because they are cheap. They're only 75 a turn. Very cheap. And then archers. I'll get some archers. I love archers. They're only 95 a turn as well. Brutes I can use as cannon fodder. Still no cheap spearmen. And I have 2 hoplites in my army. That's fine. So I've reduced my deficit from 3,000 down to 800 odd. And I have enough food for the moment. Continue my progression. Interestingly, that during these years, 73 to 71, so while Julius Caesar was away in exile, he was actually... These were the years he was captured by pirates and held hostage. He was sold back to his family And the pirates, having suggested that his family paid 20 talents to them, which we can assume was a huge amount of money, Caesar said, no, I want you to, I demand that you ask for 50. I am worth more than you are trying to ransom me for. So the man had balls, let's put it that way. He was an incredibly strong personality, and on his own authority, after taking the after being released, from the pirates, he raised his own troops, he raised his own navy, went back after the pirates, took them, beat them, and crucified the lot of them, as he'd promised them he'd do while he was a captive. I mean, can you believe that? He promised so while he was a captive, they hold his life in their hands. He promises he's going to come back and crucify them. They take it as a joke, laugh it off, ha ha ha. He actually comes back and he does it. He crucifies the lot. His only merciful act being to slit their throats before he does so. I mean, can you imagine? He was a forceful person. So yeah, in larger terms, this was a time of upheaval. It was a time of strife. There would have been no peace, as there was later during Augustus's reign. This was very much a turbulent time. And slaves were nothing but property. So they're... Oops. I think I attacked that. Oh, whatever. Let's try this. Slaves were nothing but property, so their owners could do anything they liked with them. Kill them, rape them, torture them. Absolutely anything they wanted, without any kind of repercussions. So, I have taken... This is my bloody path through Italy. And of course these provinces are revolting, as I knew they would. Which, again, will slow the Romans down. So, if I can take this area of Carthage, if I can take Africa, and then perhaps go down east first to take Tripolitana, and actually manage to subdue those. If I can balance my economy, I can't move any more this turn. If I can actually do all that, I may have a chance. As I said, I tried this before, and I failed both times. So I'm hoping this is the one. The main thing, the main objective in the beginning, is just to get some kind of stability. To go from being a bunch of slaves on the run, as Spartacus and his band were, to an actual army with some kind of economy, and then build some kind of alliances. So we're going to land by Carthage here, and then what I'm going to do first is head down south and take the rest of this province, because once you take a walled city like Carthage, your food drops. A walled city like Carthage takes an enormous amount of food to sustain it, and I took it before, and once you have a deficit of food, I'm going to, let's take Field Engineer's Workshop. I will need siege weapons later. If you cannot feed your troops, they begin to desert, and because you don't have any kind of economic basis to replace those troops,
Waiting for more orders.
Your army will continually diminish. Obviously, I have a financial deficit as well. So, I think the troops in this game, servile troops, are going to be expensive no matter what. The objectives, I've noticed, are no different for the servile faction as for any other faction. So, it is simply to dominate. Let me just have a look here. Objectives. Control 34 settlements, either through direct ownership or through client states' military allies. And I have to control all of these provinces as well. I doubt I'm going to play this campaign right the way through. Oh no, it's just telling me to hold Italy. Oh, that's not so bad actually. It's not as bad as I thought. Because in the beginning, before you begin the actual campaign, it tells you that you have to have 50 settlements and all of the campaign map. So I guess the guys who made this mod simply didn't update the objectives at the beginning, because they seem to be okay. For the oh shit, I can't take it. See, I can reach it with these guys. Let's see if I can take the settlement. So this one will be the first. There we go. Take that easily. This will be the first where I actually repair the settlement and try to bring some sort of order to it. First thing I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna destroy this one. I actually have enough money. So this one has a working temple. I'm going to immediately change this port to a fishing port so I can get some kind of money. I'm going to destroy this quarry, because it's not so much money I need as food.
Ready for orders.
And I'm going to continue on because I need to take Casper. This is part of the three sort of provinces in this. I don't know what they're called. 3 settlements in this province. So I'm going to take these two before I go up and take Carthage, and hope that it becomes sustainable. Numidia hate me.
The door is open to you.
They will not take a non-aggression pact.
Your people are lower than camel dung, drying in the desert sun.
Nice.
Yet you propose a treaty.
Did you hear that? You people are lower than dung drying in the desert sun. So I guess as slaves we don't get a great deal of respect either. So we have a skill. Skill. Just do my authority. Ah, got defences, that's good. So Spartacus can now has now improved his defences. I have 3 turns before my economy becomes a problem. And they've declared war on me. They really don't like me very much. And I've lost this province. This settlement, sorry. So there are many rebels behind us. So the rebels have taken all of that area that I took to begin with. Right, let's see if we can't capture Capua before they come down and before they attack me. So I'm going to build a villa for money there. The rest of that province is okay. And they're not getting too unhappy too quickly, actually. It's not too bad. Let's get my men down. I don't think they'll be able to reach... No, they can't. I don't think... No, they can't reach my settlement in a single turn. Let's see if I can raise any troops. Can't really afford it. I can raise mercenary elephants. But again, they're 450 per turn, and I already have a huge deficit, so I'm going to take... I have to take some settlements I'm going to have to rely on Carthage, basically. I've got 2 turns. I'll get some cash from Capua. I'm going to have to rely on my money from Carthage. And just quash the rebellions and hope that I can make it balance the books, basically. Otherwise I'm screwed. Oh shit. Look, they've sent their navy up. Bar.
Commander,
Right, let's do this first. I'm going to take Capua.
advance has been halted.
Come on.
We hunt, laying siege to the settlement.
What? Okay. Oh shit. They have a proper army behind them. Facing elephants and hoplites and... Oh shit. This is not good.
None will escape.
This is not good. They have their main army there. That's what just happened.
Ready for battle.